Now, if you have an overdraft, look away now. The International Monetary Fund has warned that global public debt is set to exceed $100 trillion by the end of this year. The IMF says that figure underscores the need for tougher action to stabilize borrowing in the world's major economies. Let's talk to the international economist Vicky Pryce. Vicky, $100 trillion of global debt. How worried should we be?
Well, we should worry a little bit about whether the economies across the world are able to handle it and are able to continue to expand without suddenly finding the capital markets going on strike. And that's the real issue. Because, of course, growth has been slowing down across the globe, even in the US, which has been doing quite well. And, of course, we know that has been the case in China, too. We do have the problems of an aging population. And we have to spend quite a lot on the green transition. And, of course, demands on defence expenditure have gone up as well, since we now live in a world where geopolitics have become rather intense and there are conflicts in loads of parts of the world.
Now, if I remember rightly, a few years back, the International Monetary Fund urged all of us to go out and spend more. So, inevitably, we've gone out and spent more.
You're absolutely right. Of course, we had COVID, and that was the period when the IMF was saying those countries that can, please do spend. And it's exactly what they did. I mean, if you remember, the US put something like 25% of its GDP back into the economy through fiscal measures. The UK just under 20%. I mean, Europe and other parts of the world did similar things. And there was also a huge amount of lending in a number of cases in the form of soft grants to the developed world so that they could put up with all the extra pressures that they had, particularly on the health service. So yes, this is exactly what happened. The expectation was not that we were then going to have a very substantial rise in inflation, which came mainly because of the supply chain disruptions, but of course the war in Ukraine, which pushed energy prices up. So the unfortunate thing is that just as the need has been to reduce fiscal spending, we've had some very substantial tightening in the monetary environment in which we are operating in. So interest rates went up very significantly. So we have a squeeze from that side. And it's very, very difficult to reduce your fiscal deficits at a time when monetary policy remains quite restrictive, because if you do that, you then lead to a very substantial reduction in growth, not just in your own country, but also internationally as well. And that's the real issue we're finding ourselves in.
Well, if this does need to be fixed, what does the IMF want us to do? Austerity, we've had a go at that before, crash the glacial growth?
No, what I think they're talking about is more prioritize the expenditure, just make sure it is going in the right places and gently, not terribly aggressively, but gently reduce your imbalances on the fiscal front. But they are also probably keeping the fingers crossed that interest rates are going to come down.